Abortion. Where does the responsibility fall? When approaching a very controversial subject such as abortion, the most important thing to remember is that every responsible person is entitled to his or her own opinion regarding whether or not it's justifiable. Personally, we think that anyone who agrees with that will also agree that a mother should have the right to decide whether or not she wants to keep her child. However, because it takes two to even have a child, sometimes either the mother or father will disagree with such a permanent resolution. So who's to have the final say in such a situation? There have been many proposed solutions for such a problem of this stature, but it is always hard to find one that everyone can agree on. The issue isn't whether or not abortion should be legal or illegal because right or wrong, it will constantly continue to happen. The underlying issue is this: should any responsibility fall on the father of a child whose mother decides to keep it? Abortion has been widely practiced throughout history since the 1700s. However, it wasn't until 1820 that anti-abortionists started speaking their mind. Ever since then, it's been an ongoing debate of one's own individual ethics and morals. With today's population on the rise, it can be understandable for a future parent to be skeptical about whether or not it's a good idea to bring another life into this world. There are many reasons a mother might want to get an abortion. Rape, health, income, and a possibly damaged fetus are just a few. A lot of mothers opt for abortion, considering that it is legal up to 20 weeks into a pregnancy, a rather moderate amount of time for a decision of such magnitude. The controversy that we face is one that cannot be dealt with in just any manner. Abortion is a serious issue, and although it has been an immediate topic for well over 100 years, a resolution that we can all agree on is still not in sight. The current law states that with a proper reason, it can be up to the mother of a child to decide whether or not to get an abortion. In other words, the father of the child doesn't have a say in the situation at all. And we don't think that's right. In America, if a mother doesn't want to keep her child after it's been conceived, she has the right to get an abortion even if the father disagrees and insists that he will care for said child. On the other hand, if the father doesn't want the child and the mother does, the father is still responsible to pay child support. Is this really fair to the father or child? We think not. As long as the sex was consensual, the father should have every right to the child as the mother does. If he says that he will look after the child, why should it still be up to the mother whether or not the child lives or dies? Granted, the mother will be the one who suffers through a possibly painstaking 8-hour labor. We still don't think that is anywhere near justifiable for the decision to be completely in the mother's hands. Every child should have the opportunity to be raised by a biological parent, if at all possible. It may be simpler to put this into a hypothetical situation. Let us assume that when you were not quite born, your father states he was determined to give you a great life full of opportunity and possibility. Your mother, on the other hand, says that she didn't want to have to pay child support or put up with the labor. The final decision lies in the mother's hands. This is the kind of situation that thousands of different people have to face every single day. The number of abortions in America from 1970 to 1997 was increasing at an alarming rate. However, in 1978, far fewer abortions were performed. From then on, the number of abortions has remained steadily around 850,000 as opposed to 1,300,000, like it was in 1997. Some of this decrease in abortion is due to restricting laws that were passed by government officials in 97 and 98. This doesn't necessarily mean that those figures will continue to decrease as the years go by. In fact, an estimated 100,000 illegal abortions are taking place every year, which indicates that those figures aren't solidly reliable. In October of 2007, CBS News took a poll. Took place in order to try and gather information regarding the public's opinion of abortion. The question was phrased as followed: what is your personal feeling about abortion? The results aren't that surprising. 36% replied that abortion should be permitted in all cases. 16% said it should be permitted but subject to greater restrictions than it is, and another 16% said it should be permitted only in order to save the woman's life. 24% said abortion should only be tolerated in such cases as rape, incest, or to save the woman's life. And finally, the remaining 8% lays evenly distributed between never and unsure. Another poll was going to take place regarding whether or not it's right for the father to not have a say in the matter. The poll, however, never took place accordingly due to a lack of participants. Whether or not you believe abortion can be justified doesn't matter. What matters is that abortions will happen anyway, sometimes even to children who could have had a potentially good upbringing in sight. If the father wants to take care of his child, should the mother have the right to take that opportunity away from both the father and the child? If the father doesn't want the child, should he still have to pay child support? The answer is not one that we can provide. In fact, there really is no answer. All we can do is continue to enlighten people with our own individual opinions, which consists of this. There is no right, there is no wrong, good or evil. There can only be what is, and the individual interpretation that ensues. That was written by Cameron Adams, English 101 college argument essay, probably in 2011, 2010, maybe, 2009, 2010 is probably when this was published. And how interesting is it now reading this for the first time in that long? Now we have a son that we don't get to see. And not because he was aborted, but because of another situation entirely. And we have a daughter who we are raising. And it's just quite interesting now to read this in light of the Roe versus Wade overturning that happened last year, the new regulations that are being essentially kicked back to the states, as it should be in a republic, where each state can set its own limits, terms, conditions. Let's talk about it. That damn talkspot.locals.com, where we would definitely want to elaborate on this situation. If you have some personal experience, strength, or hope, you can drop it in the comment section or in that damn talk spot, where we will be doing the damn talk. THATDAMNTALKSPOT.locals, LOCALS.com, where people proceed information.